Hey guys, my name's Ariel, and um, I am going to be doing this video to possibly give some beginner bass guitar um, learners, I guess, some basics on how to play the bass guitar, how to set it up, and how to basically get on your road to success with this instrument. Some things about me: I have played instruments since I was in the third grade. I played the violin since I was in third grade, and starting in my freshman year of high school, I started playing the acoustic and electric guitar. And so I decided to try out the bass guitar this year, starting this year, and just for a different sense of a different instrument. I had already been playing two-string instruments, and so maybe trying something on the bass clef would make a totally different sound, have a totally different vibe, just bring a lot more fun to it. So first things first, when we're talking about the bass guitar or any instrument, we want to make sure that we have the strings tuned correctly. So what I suggest using for this, at least for the first string, is a basic tuner, like one you can get at a guitar center or any music center, for example, and just place it on your guitar and let it go on. And since I already have mine tuned, I'll just show you. If that green dot over there lights up, it should be pretty close to the center of what the string should sound like in standard tuning. And since we are going to be doing standard tuning, then having it in the standard E. The standard tuning of a guitar is E, A, D, G. Form would definitely be what you want to have it in to start. But definitely when you have only the E string tuned, then you can tune the rest of the guitar actually by having one finger on the fifth fret, placed on the fifth fret of the E string, and then playing also the next string after. So in this case, the A string. So, and making sure those sound very similar. If they don't, then you either want to tune up or down using the knobs. Tune up or down to make both sounds sound similar, because the fifth fret is a harmonic of the next string. So next thing I want to go over is just to generally have how you should be setting up and be placing yourself with the instrument. So especially with guitars like this, there should be a groove on the bottom. So if you're sitting down, then you can place it on your leg comfortably and have your arm comfortably over on the back side of the instrument, because you are supposed to be playing the bass with the pads of your fingers for both the fretboard and for the bottom part, plucking the strings. And with plucking the strings, you're definitely going to want to get more, depending on what kind of genre you want to play, you're going to be wanting to strum down or kind of pick up the string with your finger a little bit and then pluck back down. And as far as playing multiple frets with your fingers, with bass, mostly you aren't going to be playing any chords like you would with a guitar. There's usually only one note at a time. So for instance, if I was going to be playing this note, then I'm not going to be playing across all strings. I'm only going to playing this one fret. And I'm going to be using only for playing the pads of my fingers, like this very middle part. You don't want to be playing with only the tips of your fingers, because it gives a sound that doesn't sound correct to the ear, and also it's less harsh on your fingers since you have more muscle to be forming those calluses and to be sounding more correct in your playing. Also, as far as the setup of a basic electric bass, you do want an amp so that you can produce as much sound as you can, or sound that you need to. So with the amp, you need an adapter cord to plug into the wall for electricity, and to plug it into the back of the amp. and you also need an input cord to connect from the amp to the guitar so that the sound transfers from your guitar to your amp. On an amp, there's a lot that you can mess around with. There's usually the sound, there's the bass, there's the mid, and there's the treble. With these, they just make your guitar have a little bit of a different sound, a little bit of a different reverberation, or how much bass that you do want your audience to be feeling, or how much volume, actually, that's an important part. how much you really want to be getting out of this and what kind of sound that you're looking for. And so when you're setting up with your amp, you do want to make sure that you don't mess too much with the input cord, because if you do, then it could make something go wonky, or your input cord won't work as well. And also, as far as messing around with the noise and volume of the bass guitar, there are knobs that you can use on your guitar that will affect how you use the amp as well. As far as on the guitar, with one knob I can control some of the sound of it to make it sound more or less crisp and clear, or more muddled, and then just a basic volume knob. And so now for actually playing the bass guitar, one of the first things that you want to know are your notes, really, that you're going to be using the most often. Since I play in the jazz band at my school and outside of school, I usually use the B-flat blues scale, which is the basic concert blues scale. So especially if you're going to be playing sheet music, you want to know where these notes on the guitar are in comparison to where they are on the bass clef. So with the B-flat blues scale, there's the specific notes that you need to play, and I'll show where they are on the fretboard on the picture side, and also where they are on the bass clef. So with the B-flat blues scale, you need the B flat, C, and both of these notes are on the A string, and then we go to the D string and play a D, an open D, and then E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. So then definitely you want to practice this scale a lot, because if you're playing blues and jazz especially, or even if you're playing swing or rock, these notes are very prominent and they're more of the root notes of what you want to be knowing. And so once you get more comfortable with it, then you'll be able to play around with it, and I'll show a few examples of me doing this. But you'll be able to play around with it a little bit more, play with the sound, play with how it sounds. But there's definitely a structure to this 12-bar blues, which is different variations and progressions of the roots of some of the root notes that are in the B-flat blues scale. So involved in the 12-bar blues are the 1/7, the 4/7, and the 5/7. The 5/7 progressions. The 1/7 containing B flat, D, F, and A flat. The 4/7 containing E flat, G, B flat, D flat, and the 5/7 containing the F, A, C, and E flat. So once you become comfortable with playing those in the correct order, like I will show, then you can play around with how it sounds, play around with maybe some extra notes that you can add, and just the overall sound of it to make it a unique and possibly more interesting song that other instruments, if you can play or have other people play with you, that can make it a lot more fun. So the 12-bar blues uses the 1/7, 4/7, and 5/7 positions in the progression 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 4/7, 4/7, 1/7, 1/7, 5/7, 4/7, 1/7, 1/7. So I'll show a couple of examples. Those are just a few examples of what I can do. I'm not perfect at it right now either because I am just a year beginner at this type of thing, but I did play around with those and I came up with those patterns myself. And so you can do the same thing too and get more comfortable with both the guitar and the B-flat blues scale so that you can become more comfortable with the blues genre and possibly create some new and exciting music. Another thing that I like to do with the B-flat blues scale is, since we know all of these basic root notes, we can play simple songs like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And so that's one of the things that I actually first started out with when my band instructor told us to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Now, of course, we just figure out these notes by ear, so if you want to real quick try to see if you might be able to figure those out by ear, or I'll just play it and we can see together. Alright, so we first start off with a B flat to account for the twinkle. So I'm just going to go with the rest and tell the notes. So twinkle, twinkle with an F and a G for little, and then back to F, and then go down to the E flat, and then the open D, and then to a C, and then back to the B flat, and then back to the F, E flat, open D, and then C, and then F, and then E flat, and then D, and then C, and then back to the B flat, and then F, and then G, F, and then E flat, and then D, C, and then B flat. And so you can do this with a lot of children's nursery rhymes that you're familiar with and you can count with by ear. So another cool thing that I found out when I was studying and learning to play the bass was that there are a bunch of different notes that you can play. There's a bunch of different positions and different frets and different strings, but there are only the amount of notes that are on the bass clef, given there are different octaves, but they're all the same notes. So what you can do is experiment and try with different notes. And so especially what I did, I printed out a bass forward fingering chart to try and see where which notes were where, and try to like make a mental plot board and memorize those notes. And so it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're playing a more complex song, then you can see what kind of notes are around that area if you don't want to be moving up and down the fretboard, if you want to be staying in one specific place. Some other cool little techniques that I found myself on the guitar are as simple as sliding, where you go from one fret and slide to the next note. So if I wanted to go from a G and just slide up the fretboard, and that makes a cool sound. And also if you wanted to play in a different type of style, mostly some funk bands do this type of deal, where instead of just strumming the note as usual, instead of this type of sound, you get a different, more crisp sound out of the note if you play slap bass, which is not slapping the bass, but picking the string up from underneath and then letting it go from higher. So it creates that nice crisp and very harsh sound that might suit some more music. And then also, if you get more adept into playing bass guitar and find yourself really liking it, then you can put more money and time into it. I have myself, so I recently bought a distortion pedal. These are things that you can get at your local guitar store. I got mine at a Guitar Center nearby, and just something to make the sound a little bit more unique. You can get distortion pedals to basically distort and manipulate the sound all you want, to delay some of the sounds, to make them sound more spacey, to make the notes sound more of that of a metal band, or more groovy as in like a 90s type of style. You can really do anything with these distortion pedals as long as you have two input cords. So as the one that I have that connects to the bass amp to the guitar, you need one to connect from the bass amp to the distortion pedal, and then the distortion pedal to the guitar itself. So that was basically my beginner's guide to learning the bass guitar and the bass amp and everything that goes with it. It really is a fun instrument to learn, and especially when put with a rhythm section with guitars and a drum set, you can definitely make a lot of cool sounds with this. The bass is generally the instrument that keeps a lot of the time within a band. So even with a guitar and a drum set type of band setup, you have the bass that's keeping the rhythm along with the drums, and the guitar does the melody, which the bass can also do while keeping the time. So I think that's a really cool feature about this instrument, is that it not only keeps time, but it also produces some pretty cool sounds that that more often than not get to the very heart of the listener. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And if you don't already have a bass guitar, then I would definitely suggest going out and getting one and trying to learn everything that you can from it, because it's more than what I've just shown you here in the last couple of minutes. It's really changed me to become more of an open person toward more instruments, different music, different everything. Especially if you're working with different people at it. If you're playing the same instrument, or if they're even just playing a different instrument, then you can find yourself in a lot of cool settings and in different environments. And I definitely suggest getting a bass guitar if you can, and trying it out, or trying any instrument, because it'll really broaden your personality and it'll let you experience more. Thank you so much for listening to my video. Like and subscribe if you would like. Post any comments below, and I'll try to comment back if I know enough knowledge about it. But of course, I'm a beginner as well. So thank you for watching.